Thank you, dear Lord. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, everyone. And thank you for joining us today for 20 minutes on 420, the facts, vaping, and your children. The goal of today's session falls right in line with what our mission is here at NOPE of Hillsborough, and that is to reduce youth substance abuse as well as substance-related deaths in our community. We are so fortunate to welcome Medina Nabaduka from Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance. Medina is the Youth Coordinator and Environment Strategy Specialist of HCADA. In addition, we have the pleasure of hearing from Kathy Valdez, our NOPE of Hillsborough Chapter President. Kathy is a longtime educator and former Hillsborough County School District Administrator. I want to thank both of you for the passion that you have for this topic. Now, this session is going to only be 20 minutes in length, and we encourage those of you that are tuning in to ask any questions that you have down in the comments section below the Facebook Live feed. We will make sure that after the session ends, we reply to every single question publicly on Facebook. And with that, I'd like to turn today's session over to Kathy and Medina.
Thank you so much, Beth. And thank you, Medina, for joining us and taking time out to deliver this valuable information to us today. So appreciative.
Thank you, Kathy.
Well, just to kick things off, and let's just get right to it. Today is 420, and how in the world did this 420 get started?
Yeah, so today is 420, April 20th. And so 420 is a code language for smoking marijuana. And so it started back in the 1970s. There's a group of teenagers who would smoke marijuana, and they would specifically smoke after school around 4:20 p.m. After all the extracurricular activities were done and finished, they'll meet together in a group, and around 4:20 p.m. they would smoke marijuana. So this became a trend amongst teens in California. And then actually the trend hit some of the musical popular bands, rock bands. At that time, they heard about it and they supported smoking marijuana. So then they too started saying 420 as a code language for smoking marijuana. So then through the music groups, it spread internationally to the point that now people who smoke marijuana, they celebrate their smoking marijuana on the 4th month of the year, on the 20th day, April 20th. So then now we see that on April 20th, every single year, there's festivals for smoking marijuana, people gather. And then it's not even usually even just April 20th, but throughout that week that April 20th falls, there's usually gatherings for marijuana smoking.
Well, thank you so much, Medina. That really, I bet a lot of parents that are listening today wish that they would have known that when their children were growing up. And if you are still raising kids, now you know when you hear 420 or this significance on April 20th. Let's turn to marijuana and the THC, because we keep hearing so much about THC and marijuana. What is that and why is that important today?
Yeah, so first with marijuana comes from the plant Cannabis sativa. And so it's a compound that actually alters the brain function. So for example, people who smoke marijuana, it interferes with the neurotransmitters and it causes some impairment, some delay in reactions that we can see on the screen, addiction, and even affects the mental health. Like people who smoke marijuana tend to have more anxiety and mental health issues. And so something to look out for is that marijuana is the common term, but there's also other street names such as pot, herb, weed, grass, womb, Mary Jane, gangster, chronic. So if you hear these terms when people are talking, even if your children are talking, then you have to see actually they might be talking about using marijuana. And so THC, it comes from the same plant. THC comes from marijuana, it's extracted. It's a chemical.
Okay, so is this a problem here in Hillsborough County?
Yes, it's a growing power here in Hillsborough County. So as we can see on the chart, we have found through the Florida Department of Public Health that in a classroom of students, let's say there's 20 students, 2 of them would be smoking marijuana on average. And then let's say in that same classroom of 20 students, about 5 tried marijuana in their lifetime. So overall, 1 in 10 students right now in Hillsborough County are smoking marijuana, and 1 in 4 have actually tried it out in Hillsborough County. So this is a huge problem because of the health effects. Some people have the misunderstanding thinking that, oh, it's from a plant, it must be healthy, but no, this is actually a compound that alters the brain. So and if you have a lot of our youth using, then actually their brain will not function well, on top of the fact that their brain is still developing up to the age of about 21, 25.
Well, as an educator, I can tell you that sure would impact student performance in your classroom.
Yeah, yes.
Definitely. So what should parents, educators, caregivers, what should we all be looking for signs of possible substance abuse or marijuana use?
So some signs are the language, as we said, if you hear the terms weed, boom, hot, chronic, gangster, these are common street terms and code for marijuana, smoking marijuana. Also, there's also apparel. A lot of people who smoke marijuana are proud of it, and they actually can show it through what they wear and even the items that they use. So for example, sometimes there's socks that have the marijuana plant on it, there's pens, there's shirts, as we can see on the screen. It's an imitation of the Goodwill, but instead it says good weed. And then even Nike has a brand that advertises 420 on the sneakers. And another obvious sign would be if you can see actually marijuana around, like wrapped in tobacco foil wrap, then yes, someone is using it. It's there for a reason. So these are some of the common signs that parents should look for.
So what is this business with vaping and e-cigarettes?
Yeah, so our youth and our general population already know that cigarettes are bad. Regular cigarettes are bad. So that has actually been going down in Hillsborough County. But there's a rise in e-cigarette use, which is also known as vaping. So this becomes a problem with marijuana because people don't just vape liquid, but actually they put other substances in their vape pen or e-cigarette pen, such as THC, which is extracted from marijuana. So that's actually becoming a common trend here in Hillsborough County, is that we can see that people are actually putting THC chemicals into their vaping. So that what they're doing, they're actually vaping marijuana. So as you can see on the screen, there's basically 2 types of e-cigarettes or vape pen. On the left, it's not a refillable type, you cannot refill it. On the right is a refillable tank. So with the refillable tanks, you can add whatever you want. You could add THC, and that's becoming a common trend. So the reason why we're talking about vaping today is because we're seeing a stronger trend in youth that they're adding THC, so they're basically smoking marijuana while vaping.
That's concerning. Ah.
Yeah, it's very concerning. What's also concerning is that it's hard to tell that a student or a youth is using because the products, they look like school supplies. So the companies that make e-cigarettes, they want to target the youth because if the youth can get addicted to their product at a young age, they could continue to use this product for their lifespan. So they target the youth on purpose, and strategically, they make it look like school supplies so that parents, educators have no idea that the student or their child is actually vaping. So and here on the screen, we can see that it's hard to tell what exactly, actually there's vaping products there, but it's hard to tell because they imitate a mouse, they imitate a flash drive. So if a student is vaping, and they could have it right there on the desk, right there at even the dinner table, and no one would even know. And that's actually the strategy of these e-cigarette companies, is they want it to be in disguise so that the youth can get away with it and then continue on vaping, even get addicted, and parents don't even know.
Wow, you're absolutely right. I couldn't tell the difference in any of that stuff if I were to see it. Wow. So, a little bit more on the whole THC. We started that conversation earlier, but we hear about the varying levels where it's not the THC of yesteryear, et cetera. But give us a little more insight into this whole issue with marijuana THC.
Yeah, so THC is a compound that's derived from marijuana. So it comes from the same plant, Cannabis sativa. What's concerning about THC is that it's psychoactive mind altering compound, meaning that it causes people to hallucinate, to have nausea, their brain doesn't function right. Even memory loss has been connected to consumption of THC. So THC is typically an extracted oil. We can see on the screen that on the right, it usually comes in a bottle. And through this bottle, people can put drops in their mouth, they can put drops in their vape pen. And so that's how they tend to consume it and even smoke it. But it's definitely not recommended because of the brain altering side effects. And the reason why teens use it or anyone uses it if they're using it for smoking is because it gives that high, that feeling of a high, but the consequence is what it does to the brain. So that's why we're out here as health educators letting our youth and even our general public know, please do not use THC. First of all, don't smoke, but on top of that, do not smoke and add THC. It's just a double trouble. So then,
Well,
yeah.
so let's get to the whole lung thing, because I think you really have clarified for us this whole issue around the THC, and thank you for that. But in our note presentations, we talk to students and we actually show pictures of young people that have been hospitalized and in the hospital with permanent lung damage from vaping. So what happens to the lungs when somebody vapes, even though, you know, when they're doing that initially, they're thinking it's harmless?
Yeah, so right now in the media, it's focused on COVID-19, but actually behind the scenes, there's an epidemic going on right here in America, and it's called EVALI, which is e-cigarette or vaping use associated with an injury of the lungs. And so this EVALI disease is actually is caused by using e-cigarettes. And so e-cigarettes, when you use it, you inhale the smoke and all the other harmful chemicals that you put in it, such as THC, and it goes directly, because it's inhaled, it goes directly into the lungs. And so what happens to the lungs is the tissues, because these chemicals are toxic, the tissues of the lungs become destroyed. So it destroys the function of the lungs. The lungs are not able to operate to its ultimate level, so it becomes hard to breathe. And once the tissues are destroyed, the dead tissue doesn't just disappear, but actually it clogs the areoles, the veins, the arteries of the lungs, and even the heart too. And so then we can see in the picture of the slide, it's actually a real life tissue. The top picture is a tissue of someone who vaped or used e-cigarettes. The bottom is a tissue slide of someone's lungs who does not vape. So we can see at the bottom of the normal lung of someone who does not vape is the airways are open. That the white areas represent the airway. But on the top, there's barely any airway. Why? Is because vaping actually destroys the tissues of the lungs. And then these dead tissue, the residue, it clogs up the airway. So then that's why we, as you're saying, Kathleen, there's been an increase in emergency room visits of damaged lungs from vaping. This is definitely concerning because if you're vaping and your tissues are destroyed, you could be on a ventilator for the rest of your life. If you actually receive help, but if you don't receive help in a timely manner, you can actually die from lack of oxygen. You can actually stroke out, you can actually seize. So this is the consequence of vaping. And then on top of that, science has confirmed that majority of the EVALI cases are from people who have vaped using THC, which is from marijuana.
Wow, that is so upsetting because this is permanent damage. That's for the rest of your life, if that's your situation. So why is it that even after youth might know that it's going to cause permanent damage, why would one continue to do that?
Yeah, so a lot of times, unfortunately, it's addiction. There's nicotine within these e-cigarettes products were actually made to have nicotine in it. So there's nicotine in it that's even twice as much or even 3 times as much as a case of a pack of cigarettes. So these levels of nicotine are high. It's actually definitely the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, does not approve using e-cigarettes as a quitting tool. So a lot of times the reason why it's hard for teens to quit after they know all this information is because they're at the point of addiction and they need help. And if they're using these products and the parent doesn't know because the products look like flash drives, they look like a mouse to the computer, then it's hard to even, a lot of times teens don't know who to ask or who to receive help from. And it's hard for parents to help their child if they don't even know that their child is addicted. So this is the situation that we're going through here in Hillsborough County, and even at a national level.
So this sounds like an epidemic on its own, but where can someone go to get help or some resource for quitting this addicting habit?
Yes, if you or someone you know has this addictive habit, whether it's smoking marijuana or vaping THC, or eating any type of substance misuse, thankfully, nowadays, there's a lot of resources that are available, such as SAMHSA. It's a national hotline, and it's in different languages. As we can see on the screen, the number is there, but it doesn't stop there. So here's the hotline. And then there's also other national and local resources, such as 211. So I like to say 211 because it's really simple and easy to remember. So you can call 211, you can text 211, you can go on the website and Google 211, and they have a plethora of resources for you, such as substance misuse, mental health services, and other services as well. So 211 is really helpful. And then not even at the national level, but even locally here in Florida, there's Tobacco Free Florida that's really specific to substance misuse. And the great thing is that there's so many different ways you could connect with them. You can call, you can go on social media, you can go on the website, and there's even group discussions as well. So, and even quick tools that are free. So yes, please reach out. You can always find, or you can Google Tobacco Free Florida as well.
That's really good information for all types of situations of addiction. So what a great list of resources. I know that over a decade ago, when my son was struggling with substance abuse, there really weren't a whole lot of places to go. There wasn't a lot of resources. So this kind of information, Medina, must be very comforting to our audience today if they need it, because this really gives them hope and somewhere to go. And I know that the HCADA, the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance, that your team has been working diligently. They work tirelessly to be able to provide those interventions for us so that we have successful students. So thank you.
Thank you. So yes, a little bit about HCADA, the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance. We're a group of community workers, and a lot of us have been touched personally with either family members or even personally of substance abuse, substance misuse. And so we go out in the community and we have community programs such as peer-to-peer. If someone in our community needs help quitting, they actually can be connected with a peer who has gone through that same exact process and can help them get through it, know the resources, and know what situation you'll probably go through, like health-wise, your body when quitting. And it's a great support group that meets once a month. We also have a lot of available resources, a lot of connections in the community, and we have a website. It's www.drugfreehillsborough.com. And so please feel free to reach us too. We're here, we're local, and we're dedicated to, we're committed to having a drug-free Hillsborough County community.
We could certainly hear your passion and certainly appreciate your efforts and your interest in this community. NOPE Hillsborough has partnered with the Hillsborough County Anti-Drug Alliance since the chapter's inception. And we so appreciate that collaboration and all that y'all do. We also want to thank our audience for joining us today. We hope that you are now armed with the appropriate resources should you need those resources to help someone that you love. Medina, Beth and I really want to thank you again for sharing this valuable information with us and helping us to achieve our goal to educate our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you also for all the work you do for our community. It's very valuable, and we really thank you. We thank you for this connection.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a really great afternoon. We'll see you for our next session later this month or early May. Bye now.
Thank you. Thank you.